there was a lot that was coming into the community as well that we would always not wonder, but how did it get into?
That's obvious, but back then it wasn't so obvious because they was coming into ways that we don't have access to.
Right.
By higher ups, people that have real power in terms of no one asks questions, and they're able to bring in trucks and airplanes full of things that is a form of genocide, to be honest with you.
Big Boy's Neighborhood, beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. I've been waiting on this one, man. Michael Harris, Harry O, welcome to the neighborhood, brother.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure, brother.
Pleasure to see you, man. I'm acting like we don't see each other. You know what I'm saying? Man, but first off, man, I got to say, we've been talking about doing this for a while, man.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so glad that we had a chance to sit down today, bro. And there's such a story with you. And there's such a beautiful background, man. Then there's, it's a life story. And then when we fast forward to where you are today, man, and doing some of the beautiful things, not just for the genre, but the beautiful things you're doing for the community as well, man. You trying to find something, man?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Hey, man, we've been sitting there. I was like, man, why you didn't grab these papers first? Like, Big, really, I came in to summons you, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm
going to slide this paper on you, man.
Yeah.
You know you owe me some money.
Yeah,
man.
I'm looking at your paperwork, Big. I'm looking at your paperwork. But no, man, first off, for those that know, we know Harry O. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in Los Angeles. And even before like a Death Row Records and everything, man, we knew the name Harry O. It was already notorious. You know what I'm saying? And then when you go from a guy that people knew out on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And being from Los Angeles, bro, that was early days. What were those early days for Harry O?
Hey, man, it was, I was in a different mindset,
Yeah.
And so back then it was all gas, no brakes with me,
man.
Coming out the neighborhood and just seeing, seeing life on the other side of the freeway,
Yeah.
Like I wanted to get it,
Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in East LA.
Right.
Yeah, right off of Central Avenue. In the 40s.
Gotcha.
Like 46 and Central.
Yes, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually before we moved to 46th and Central, I lived on 53rd and Avalon.
Right. Yeah.
See, so there was two different neighborhoods in the same neighborhood. So it was quite a introduction when I moved to the next neighborhood.
Amen. Oh yeah. Like,
but I handled it.
Yeah. Amen. And it's crazy because we talking about times, man, when LA was full on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was full on. Like now, LA feels a little different.
Yeah.
But when it was full on, it was like
a lot different.
Yeah, you couldn't go certain places, wear certain colors, and then you couldn't be like now. I don't know what some of the gangsters look like. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hoods look like, and it's not there's any removal. It's just that there was a certain looks and certain lifestyles, and the way that we got down back then. That's a little bit different than today.
Yeah, a lot different.
Yeah, and when you say you went from one to the other. Yeah.
So
that's one of them things like, Mama, why are we moving over here?
Because at that age, I was in junior high school.
Yeah,
so
man.
So you got a predominant Crip neighborhood, 5 Trey Avalon, and then you move to a predominant Blood neighborhood, 4-6 Pyru. So it was like that element was there. But me and my little brother, we like to do what we like to do.
Yeah,
so,
man.
we want to get introduced, let's get introduced. We got to get our squabble on, let's get our squabble on. But we moving here, This is what's happening. Mom told this our new house.
Like I'm going to be here.
So, maybe you leaving, but we ain't going nowhere.
And we built for every day.
Yeah, that part.
You know what I'm saying? We built for every day, man.
We built for that.
So the early days, man, when we're in Los Angeles, man, we'll see like, the game started really going here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember just, my involvement too. It was just something that you just saw an opportunity, bro.
Right.
And, people could sit here and say, oh, you could have got this, you could have did that.
Yeah.
But there were certain things right outside of our window and certain things right outside of in the neighborhood that you just felt like, man, a lot of us fell into it.
And when you say fell into it, you gotta really put it in context.
Right.
Like our neighborhood wasn't just any old neighborhood because it was a bigger picture. Like it was a lot of drugs being brought here to our particular neighborhood.
Yeah, man.
So you didn't just fall into it. When you opened your door, it was there.
Right there.
You know what I mean? It was there in a major way. And so, yeah, I heard what you said. You know, it's easy to say, oh, man, you could have got a job, you could have went to college, you could have did this. And some of us did do that and try to do that. But it was hard to fight that temptation at that young age with all that money out there. You know what I mean? And not thinking about the repercussions or not thinking about the damage.
Right, the damage.
You know, it's like my pockets is empty and I'm trying to fill them, you know? It was that kind of mentality. So, you know, it's easy for people to play Monday morning quarterback about things that they're not familiar with. Yeah. But when you grow up in them communities, it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, trying to make it to the next day, it was hard. It was real. And so we did the best we could do with what we knew. You know?
When did you first get in the game?
Probably when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, of course, you know, we sell weed and stuff. You know, we growing up with kids, you know, we sell weed in high school, junior high school. But really got in the game when I was 19.
And when you get in the game when you're 19, man, is there an introduction that you could share with us?
What do you mean, like an introduction?
Like how did you get in?
With the first,
yeah, because I remember my introduction. It was and no disrespect to anyone or Mixmaster Spade or anyone, but I remember I was doing small things.
Right.
And I remember Mixmaster Spade. He had this line where he said, "You spend $300, you make $700 back," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And my quest was on, bro. After that.
Well, it's funny that you said that because there's a guy I grew up with named Charlie Mack. And he says, nothing can get you richer quicker than rock cocaine. Right. He said they'd be calling you Rolls Royce Mike before it was over with. And this guy was familiar with rocking it up. Mm-hmm. And so that was my introduction, you know, buying a pack, him rocking it up, and people standing around the corner like ABC Market. You know, it was crazy. So that was my introduction. So I probably was a millionaire when I was 19, you know, because of it, you know, so. It was crazy.
Damn, see, I didn't know Charlie Mack. I was definitely not a millionaire at 19. So when you say a millionaire at 19, what did that money and power feel like to you? For one, we don't see like, you know, the long road. We don't see like, man, a lifetime of, you know, what's coming around the corner. We could say we do, but there's a lot when it comes to how bad that could have been for you. And you said something about the community, but at that time you just in it, and you say you fill in pockets.
Yeah, you in it, and you like, you know. And I wasn't a flamboyant kind of guy, you know. So I just kept it under and just, you know, stack. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to buy nothing until I made $1 million. You know what I mean? I was just really focused, and then I was thinking about business. Like, how can I get this in business? Because I had jobs before I got into the game, so I understood the structures of business. My mother had a cafe. And so I watched her business. My father owned a lumber company on Alameda, so, you know, block loan. So I watched, you know, them do business. Even though my father and I was really not connected, I watched him, you know, I connected. You know, he kept his to himself, you know. Right. So that kind of pushed me, too. So, like, you know, different things psychologically tripped you out. Like you may not go after certain things so hard if it wasn't for the separation, right? So with the separation with the pops, you know, you want to show him, hey, you know, I can boss up. You know what I mean? I don't need you. And so that kind of energy gets into you. So different things drive different people to take chances that could alter their life, you know. And some things cost too much, baby boy.
Yeah. We know now sometimes in the rearview mirror, huh?
Yeah, with 33 years behind you, bro.
Yeah,
some
man.
things cost too much.
So when you know that you really on, and even with us, man, we know the name. But you say, I wasn't hella flamboyant. And even when you talk about businesses, man, when you go through like the businesses, like I knew some of the businesses. Like I knew it was a Cartier limousine service.
Yeah,
I
on,
knew
man.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was my baby.
I knew that. And of course we knew about Checkmates with Denzel Washington. Like, so you did plays, you know what I'm saying, on businesses. Yeah. So you knew that you wanted to not legitimize the money, but you knew that you could take that and do certain things and bring other people on as well.
Yeah, because, you know, at that time in the 80s, especially when I got into the play business, you know, a lot of people that looked like us wasn't really getting roles, you know what I mean? It was kind of like a dead spot in the 80s. So the play was an opportunity to give a lot of people jobs. And so once I got introduced to that and I started seeing people that I had seen on TV before, but they was unemployed, I was like, hey man, this is my window. You know what I mean? At the same time, to be associated with great actors and actresses, and be able to use it. I named my production company Why Not Production.
Why not?
Why not? Like, why not us? Why can't we do this? You know what I mean? All the way to Broadway. So,
did you have any aspirations to do any of that kind of entertainment yourself, or you just knew that I want to see people get on?
I just believe people that's good at what they do should do it.
What other businesses did you have back in the day?
I had contracting companies. I had music. I was actually managing artists back then, and mostly it was construction, real estate. Like I said, I used to own Beverly Hills Leasing, which was an exotic car lot.
Was that on Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. How old were you?
How old were you?
How old were you at that moment?
22, 23.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I remember driving by that. Well, not riding by that because I was on the bus. Yeah, I remember riding by that, man.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because you have more years incarcerated than actually in the game. You know what I'm saying? When you see the balance of that.
Yeah, like 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years. From 1926, I went to prison.
Right. So when you go to prison, you're 26 years of age?
Yeah, 26.
And when you get your sentence, what was your actual sentence at the time, Harry O?
First time I got two sentences while I was away.
Okay.
First time they gave me 25 to life plus 3. So that's a life sentence plus 3.
I was gonna ask you, what the hell does that?
Well, that wasn't enough for them. So
right.
So they called me back.
What do you hear when you're that age though, and you hear 25 to life plus 3? What are you hearing?
You hear great noises. Like, who they talking to? I know they're not talking to me. I know this ain't real. You know what I mean? Like, especially for that particular case, it's like, what are we doing? This ain't got nothing to do with me. But it doesn't matter. Once that machine start going, it's going, and it's real. And then 6 months later, they says, we got some more to give you. And then they called me and gave me another 20 years in the federal system.
So when you're already get that 25 to life with 3, 6 months later, they bring in the federal case.
Yes.
And that federal case, you felt like, I'm just stretched.
I mean, that's another 2-year fight. And then I ended up getting 20 years. I came in on some other guy's case. I had a phone call. It was a big, major drug ring that I wasn't even a part of. I had my own operation. But that's a phone call. Got me pulled into theirs. And they were facing life without sentences. But I was only facing 20 because I had a phone call. They didn't even know who I was. And I just happened to got pulled into the call. So you got a 25 life plus 3 plus 20.
Did you ever think you were going to get out? At that, when you get that time, not 20 years in, not thinking of a part in, like when you in there, do you feel like, man, they threw everything on me? I'm the reason why LA and the world, you know what I'm saying? It's like it is.
And they still didn't know who I was. Like, I'm being honest, like, I went to jail for some things that really didn't have nothing to do with me. Like, if I went to jail probably for the things I was to do, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Right.
It says, let's keep it 100. But yeah, at first I just says, look, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight every day. I was fighting, spending money, getting lawyers, getting, told whatever, how they gonna lie to you, we can make this happen. Mm-hmm. And then that goes on for a couple of years, you fighting and getting appeals and you spending money.
What do you think you spent on your legal, just in a lump sum?
Millions.
Guesstimate.
Yeah, millions. Yeah, you spend millions.
Over 5? And that back then?
Yeah, some lawyers wouldn't even talk to you unless you had $500,000.
Just to retain.
Yeah, just to retain. It was a cold game. It was a cold game. It was real.
Damn.
It was just drama after drama.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you, what do you think you made in the game in them 7 years?
I don't know.
A guesstimate?
Does a pardon cover that?
Because I definitely don't want to be the one in here. Be like, man, you got this mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got another case.
Yeah.
Big boy got me another case.
Hey, man, and then I'm the one that got to get up and leave. I got to move to like Guam or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Just be out there with a gray beard and shit. Like, Yeah, man. Yeah, so
I just came to do an interview.
If
man.
yeah.
And I got another case.
He was like, man, I was in one phone call, got 20 extra. Come and do Big Boy. Like, man, big the
life
feds.
without.
Yeah, big,
Life
like
without.
big the feds, man. So while you're in there, you still keep your entertainment going. You know what I'm saying? And is that Checkmate? Not because Checkmate was the play.
Well, actually, Checkmate had just, when I got arrested, we was on Broadway. And so just because I had so much respect for the actors and actresses, I just, after maybe a month or so, I shut it down because there was a lot of negative press around it. And they had showed me a lot of respect and, from working with me. So I just said, let me just kill that and, try to focus on something else.
And were you already had like Godfather Entertainment before going in, or did you create that?
I created Godfather when I was inside.
While you were inside.
Yes.
So your business mind was still going.
Yeah, but and then you're young. So you're young and you had all this stuff going on, and now you're sitting in there, you're stuck, and you're like, you got too much energy for that. So it's like, you're just being defiant. I can't allow this. I got to make something happen. I know they got me physically, but mentally they don't.
Right.
So it was that thing.
So what is Godfather Entertainment at the time? I'm walking it.
Yeah,
what is Godfather Entertainment at the time?
Well, Godfather was a concept of mine to be able to be involved in various aspects of the entertainment business, not just music. It was supposed to be for films. Actually, I was thinking about doing my film back then, but I think the story has scratched a little bit since then. But that's what it was really set up for, to do concerts, to do record companies, and to do films. And then we had this one particular company that we started.
How did you keep your mind out there and say Godfather Entertainment, and you knew what this bigger picture was when you had this sentence that would really kind of take your life off the street?
Yeah, but at that time I didn't believe that it was real. Like I wouldn't accept it.
Right.
I think it took me 10 years to accept it, to be honest with you. Like fighting and thinking I tell you, I might do 10 years and get out,
Right.
But it got 10, 15, kept going, But in the meantime, I just felt I needed to do something. My life shouldn't be over with, I had so many different aspirations, things that I wanted to do. And I still had access to certain people and situations. And then, the death row situation.
Talk to me about how the death row situation comes about, Harry.
Well, it comes about, I don't remember. I know you remember Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the time, I think they had a management company, Knight Entertainment, and Funky Records or something like that, DOC, and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and Suge Knight was working together to put something together, but it wasn't called Death Row. It was under one of those companies, and what ended up happening was I got introduced to Knight from a friend of mine's, Ron Brown and Eric Woodley. Ron Brown used to play football here and run track. We grew up in the same neighborhood, so down the street from each other. So we knew each other. They introduced me. Knight came in. I had him come in to see me, and we sit down. And I was talking about doing some production for Godfather, and then he was telling me about his situation that he had acquired from managing Dr. Dre and DOC. And then we went back and forth and decided we would partner up. And that's how it was created.
And at that time, it wasn't called Death Row Records?
No.
There was no Death Row?
No. Actually, we was moving under Godfather first.
Right.
And then we came with Death Row.
And who came with Death Row as entertainment or as a record label?
Godfather.
Right. Okay.
The first time you ever see Death Row in any legal document is as a subsidiary of Godfather Entertainment.
So did you know at that moment what you were creating when it came to Death Row Records, or you just felt like, I'm trying to do plays, I'm trying to do this, because when we look back at Death Row now, the catalog and the stars that came out of Death Row, it's an amazing story. But as a person that's in his 20s, speaking and sitting down with Suge Knight, and you throwing all these different entertainment things out there, did Death Row feel different to you?
Well, I was in jail almost 2 years, 2.5 years, about 2 years when I met Knight. And I had been watching what was happening in the community. You know, so we got TVs in prison.
Right.
You know, so your BET, et cetera. You know, so I'm watching NWA, I'm watching other, and I was also, I don't want to talk about other companies I was involved with the rap game because I don't deal with those people no more. Some people you just gotta fly, the other way from. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah, I know what you're saying.
So I don't mention them no more.
And I ain't gonna even ask.
Yeah, okay. So I was already in the rap game.
Right.
Before I came to
with who? No, it's a bullshit.
Yeah.
So you already had some seasoning and intuition into the school of experience, and a lot in business anyway, though.
Yeah, so I was already aware of what if that street music felt like, coming from the game I was in and connecting that with music. I had already experienced that before I came to prison. But I wasn't focused on it because I was dealing with the plays on a higher level. So, but when I saw what was happening with NWA and watching them sell records without radio play and just word of mouth, and then radio play, of course,
right?
K-Day, all the records companies started doing what they did. And so when I met Knight, I already knew what that was. And so when we came together and put some structure behind it and brought my attorney in and we organized everything. So at the time, David Kidder was my appeal attorney, and he was kind of, well known in the city. So we helped orchestrate the situation, and I already knew. And plus, I spent maybe 3 months on death row.
Right.
See, a lot of people don't know that, but while I went back to San Quentin after the federal case, after I got sentenced, they placed me on death row because I was too high level to be in population. And so for those few months, I got to watch. Well, I was next door to the death row people. So we would go to the yard together and I would talk to them through the gate. Kids was younger than me in there, and it affected me. And so things don't just happen in a,
right.
It's connecting dots. So seeing that, being there, thinking that young people on the street don't know that death row is waiting for them. You understand?
Right.
Just a crime away, just an incident away. Something can happen, a fluke, they can put you there. And I just thought that was a mechanism and a platform to be able to tell that story through cautionary tales.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my original vision, working with Knight, and to be able to tell real stories from behind the walls that would be digestible to certain people in the community. And so some of it, you could feel some of it in the chronic, you know what I mean? Like
right.
You could feel some of that was coming from that.
Yeah.
And then most of it was about what was happening in the streets. So it was that combination of all of our energies.
Were you very involved back then too?
Well, yeah, behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah, I was very involved.
Right.
Behind the scenes. I made it happen, Captain.
Yeah. Hey man, were you the guy that made that, like the money guy behind death row as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Legitimate funds.
Legitimate funds. Hell yeah. Did you
just because you used to do certain things don't mean that you didn't figure out a way to have legitimate income. Do a lot of real estate that I used to do.
Were you listening to a lot of the music? Were you able to listen to the music and what it was starting to feel like when they were creating the music? Were you able to get your hands and your ears on the music?
Yeah, they would give it to me.
Yeah.
You want to know how that happened?
No, not at all. I just want to make sure that I'm not too intrusive.
You just can't know.
Yeah, and then there's some things, Harry, just say, yeah, not that one, big.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, not that one.
Talk about that.
Yeah. Just
there's some hand signals I can use.
Yeah. No, really, there's some edits we could do too. Yeah. But yeah, if anything's too much, you know what I'm saying? Because there's other things I want to ask too, and I'm like, nah, let me work my mental editor.
So what I did used to watch a lot was you.
Yeah.
And I saw some people fall in some deep holes having interviews with you. So
nah, not at all, bro.
Look,
this dude right here.
Come on, man.
Well, why you didn't fund a better radio company for me then? You know what I'm saying? Man, over here creating this shitty-ass death row. Who knows about that? Man, death row was here today and gone tonight.
Yeah, but it's back.
Yeah. No, it was never here today and gone tonight. But that was just one of them things, man. Did you feel when Death Row started going? Did you feel like, bro, I created something that I'm a part of, but you're not physically on the street moving with it? What did that feel like, man? Because Death Row was
it was awkward for me because all my businesses, I had over 12 businesses before I came to prison, 11 or 12 businesses, and I dealt with every last one of them from top to bottom. You know what I mean? I don't say I was a micromanager, but I used to want to make sure everything was top notch, classy, top notch business. Whatever we was doing was straight. So to be in a situation where you're not hands on, other people take control of your life and your situation. Mm-hmm. So I didn't create Death Row by myself. Everybody came in and did what they had to do. Certain people got pushed out. Even myself at some point, right. Believe that or not, things happen when you're incarcerated that normally would not have happened had you not been incarcerated. And so, in me, I was so much focused on the company becoming a success that I really wasn't paying attention because I'm not used to people pushing me out. You understand? Mm-hmm. I mean, without going into that. I'm just not used to that. You know what I mean? Especially when I put so much into it to make it happen. It was something that I felt connected to the streets with because they had took me away. You see what I'm saying?
Did you feel like Death Row was becoming something that wasn't in your vision when you heard about certain things with Death Row?
Of course.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with that. I mean, we used to have conversations, We used to have conversations about the whole mentality changing and things that certain people was chasing that people like me had walked away from.
Right.
You don't grow up like I did and chase that. Like, that's something you really want to discard.
Yeah, man.
Let's just talk about it real. Like, that's what legitimizing yourself is. Like, you come from something that might be a little dirty. America's full of that.
Yeah, man.
And then they clean it up. And then they move on. They become staples in our country. But with us, it don't always translate like that. It's the same situation, just maybe a different skin color, but it's the same situation. Just think about it. If you did a little history on any of these companies,
right?
You'd be surprised where they came from, or not surprised, because I know you're pretty learned. Yeah. I know you're a reader.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. You do a lot of, you know a little bit about a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
So I don't think you would be surprised.
Right. Hey, was there a phone at Death Row?
Yes.
The infamous phone where it was the Harry O phone, and that was your phone?
Yes.
And that was the phone that if it rung, people knew it was you.
Yes.
And no one can get on that phone.
Yes.
Was there a real incident behind that phone one time?
I need to talk about that as well. I think you can find that in public records.
Right.
I don't know. There's a few incidents.
Oh, he said a few.
Yeah. Oh. Well, did I say a few?
No, you didn't.
Now I'm speaking too much.
You didn't say nothing.
It was one incident.
Right.
Let's just stick to the one incident.
Yeah, man. So you, when you say, man, that you felt like you started to get pushed out and it wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be, how do you stand ground? Because you still got so many years before you actually came home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you still pay attention to it? Or do you just kind of say, man, that, Death Row got away from me?
Well, yeah, sometimes you feel it got away and sometimes you say, no, I'm not going to let it get away.
Right, right.
I mean? It depends on how you feel it. You know what I mean? Because you really, people think prison is a walk in the park. But, you got to deal with the reality of prison. Like, I think people come out to the streets and give people a misconception of prison. And I think even when they do movies about it, they give you a misconception. Prison ain't nothing nice. Unless you somewhere in PC or somewhere where, you're protected. But when you're in a real prison, every day you got to wonder is you going to live the next day. So, it's not like, oh, Michael Harris is in here doing business from jail. It wasn't that easy. But at the same time, I mean, it made it look easy. But
right.
At the same time, when I walk on that yard, hate is so thick sometimes you can cut it with a knife, because you got a lot of people there with life sentences. Imagine that.
And don't care.
Imagine that everybody in this room got life sentences. And everybody may not be in the same financial situation.
Right.
So when you go to the store, you dragging bags. This person's pockets is like rabbit ears. Mm-hmm. So, it's become a dog-eat-dog-eat world. You know what I mean? If you ain't strong, You lose your life in there on a daily basis. People don't understand that because some people, when they come home, they just want to forget about it. They don't talk about it. And I think if they talked about it in the right way, young people wouldn't be so quick to go to prison.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Right.
I just think that it's glorified. You know, you go in there, you lift weights, come out, you know, looking like King Kong or whatever. You know, that's not it. You can do that at the gym down the street. You know what I'm saying? If you just free,
be a free man.
and become a trainer or something. But what I'm saying to you, you don't need to go to prison to get that. But a lot of people have misconceptions. Oh, I can go do this, and go do 2 years, and come home, be buff, got a reputation, etc. And then they start coming with them life sentences. And it got real all of a sudden. Just like how when the dope came to the community, it was weed, joints, Sherman. Next day you know it's tons. And that's your reality. And now they want to give you life sentences for making money.
Hey man, without moving blames and, you know, responsibilities, there was a lot that was coming into the community as well that we would always not wonder, but how did it get into? You know what I'm saying? We got overflooded with a lot of dope. We got overflooded with a lot of guns. And anytime that they want something to stop, there's certain ways for things to stop. You know what I'm saying? Early on. But did you feel like, well, you probably know better than any of us, that it was like there was also a gateway?
Yeah, it's a gateway.
That was bigger?
It's just like what's happening now with the borders open. It's a gateway. You know, when things open, things come through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? It becomes fluid. You know what I mean? I mean, even though I'm not in that business no more, I understand that world. You know what I mean? I understand that when you and then that's obvious. But back then it wasn't so obvious because they was coming into ways that we don't have access to.
Right.
By higher ups. You know, people that have real power in terms of no one asks questions. And they're able to bring in trucks and airplanes full of things that is a form of genocide, to be honest with you. So when you think about it on that level, somebody says, okay, a certain community doesn't matter. And what people don't know, that all those kilos, they were marked.
Yeah, man.
So that means somebody knows. It's like any type of accounting that you can do in any kind of business.
Because I remember the cats be like, oh, I got the Rolex, I got the this,
Yeah, but it's really a family. It's a different family, a different organization. You know, in certain governmental people knew, okay, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. I mean, this thing was elaborate.
When you watch things, and I don't know if you ever watch, when you see things like Snowfall and TV shows like that, do you look at that and say, oh, that's real? Or do you look at it and say, it's fake? Or do they have their finger on the pulse? And how much Snowfall is Harry O?
Well, no, I don't think. I think whatever success Snowfall is receiving, if it had the real story, it'd be going through the roof. Trust me.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I watched them, and I think they certain parts of it was connected to certain parts, but it didn't really go as deep as it went. And so I watch it as it elevates. Some people grew faster than that. And I guess for film, you have to take your time.
Right, take your time.
And maybe they might get there, but no, people went from 0 to 100 overnight. You know what I mean? And so,
did you feel like at times too, Harry O, like it was bigger than you wanted it to be, and like, man, how do I get out of this?
Well, I just think that, like, if depending on how you was raised, I don't care how much money you make, and this thing. But I always talk about this thing called karma. It's like you wake up one day and you start to see, because even though you get money, you might move away, but you still got family, you still got people, and then you start to see how they have fallen off because of something that you may have been a part of. And you're like, wow. And especially even when you're coming up, you start to say, he smoking, she smoking. Like, these are people that you should go to school with. These are people you spend the night over their house. So, and now they running around like they done lost their mind. And you rich, you're making money, but they're dying. They're dying mentally. They're dying socially. They're just dying. So you can't keep doing it if you got something inside of you.
Right.
You understand?
Hell yeah.
You believe in God. You can't believe in that. So even though you might have got hypnotized by it, you have to get out. You know, you have to figure your way out. And then you're thinking maybe you'll find you a cool place in hell somewhere by trying to do something good for other people. Wow. You understand what I'm saying? That's kind of the nuts and bolts of that.
When you are incarcerated and you think about death row and other businesses, why was it necessary for you to start programs inside of the prison as well?
Well, good question. First, you have to take programs yourself. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of limited. But then when I got down to certain, like San Quentin, for example.
How long were you in San Quentin?
I was in San Quentin twice.
Okay.
The first time I was there for short. Then they took me to the feds. And then the second time, I know nobody's not calling me. Right. We're not doing that. And so I think the last time I was there for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And when I came, where did I come from? I think I went to Pelican Bay. Mm-hmm. And
so were your cases state and federal?
Yeah, so I spent 23 years in the state of California, and I spent about 10 or 11 in the feds.
Oh, so you did more state time?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because I had that case first, but they were supposed to mix it with because I got the 20 years behind the 3, so I was supposed to do the 3 and then the 20. It should have ran concurrent. That's why I was doing more time than I was supposed to when I got the clemency.
Damn.
Yeah.
So at one point you thought you were coming home in 10.
Well, I thought I was coming home.
You were thinking like I could do 10. I'll do 10.
No, yeah. Then it's 50. I thought that's what I would do, but then you realize you gotta do the work. So go back to your question about the programs. So what happened was I started taking programs at San Quentin, and then I started creating them. Mm-hmm. Once I learned what I needed to learn, I just felt I had an obligation to now share some of the things that I knew about financial literacy, and we also created coding classes while I was there. We had people coming in, professionals from the Bay Area coming
right.
in and bringing their resources into the prison. And so I worked that out with the warden so we could, bring in different meaningful skills so people could leave here with real skills to get jobs. And a lot of those people went home and making $200,000-$300,000, some of them making $500,000 a year from the coding skills that they learned, and a lot of the people that was in those programs are still out and thriving in the community. So,
and that meant something to you as opposed to just, man, I'm here, I'm doing this by myself, whatever it may be. Well, but you wanted to bring mentorship and programs.
Yeah, because you see people that was the result of what you did.
Oh yeah.
And some people don't accept that. Like, oh, he's a crack baby, or this kid is crazy, or we should, you can't deal with him. I said, it's easy for y'all to say these kids is crazy, but what made them crazy? Mm-hmm. So you got to take responsibility for that, and that's what me and other people would do.
Was all that an uphill battle though? Because we hear so much about state and federal and programs. Most programs are being taken away.
Yeah, it was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And the state, some parts, the state started really doing things to, especially San Quentin, that became like the model. And we would try to show an example of how people could change their lives if they had real programs. Even when I was in the feds, it was hard. The generic programs, they don't really have, the state had better programs in the feds. Can you believe that? Yeah.
Because you do hear people say, "Oh man, that federal, that's where you want to land there, walk in the parks, kind of thing." But for one, and being away is being away anyway.
But that's not true.
Go ahead.
They're talking about a camp,
right?
That's different from where most people will go. Like you go to a federal penitentiary, it's just like a state penitentiary, and it's just as dangerous, if not more dangerous. And then you go down levels. But the camp, very few people can get camp. And if you're lucky, you work your way down to a camp, and it's still in prison.
You never got camp, though, huh?
Nah, I couldn't make it up.
Right. Yeah.
I tried it. No.
So did you try every program, too, to try to, Were you in a position where you could knock time off and go do this? And...
Well, ultimately, I think the programs that I took while I was in the state prison was helpful for me to get a clemency.
Right.
Because that's part of my record of what I was doing while I was away.
Gotcha. And when we say clemency, and when we say the presidential commuted sentence, you were pardoned by Donald Trump. Is that the way you would say? I would say it.
Well, it's not a pardon; it's a clemency.
Clemency.
So that means that, see, a pardon means you absolve from, it didn't happen.
Oh.
But a clemency means that he maxed me out to 0 time, so I could come home. Based on my programs, he read my files. Alice Johnson was really the person that helped fight for me. And
had you been trying to get that for a number of years, or?
I tried to get it from Obama and them. No results. Yeah.
So
same record.
Had you given up faith on trying to get a clemency, or?
Well, I just.
Or you just like, let's just keep going.
Well, no, just at the last moment, I just went on and put it in, and some people contacted me and said you might have action at putting it in, and I put it in, and this was during the last few days of his presidency too, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but he still made sure that he finished up all the pardons that was on his desk, and mine was one of the last ones. So that was one of the last things.
Does that cost? Because people say that there's a cost with that too. Your facial expression just changed too.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out who you are.
Right, yeah.
Like, it just felt like I'm in the FBI.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't put that jacket on.
No, I feel like, you just asked me, no, it didn't cost, brother. What my payment was the work that I did.
Right.
Yeah, so certain people go to prison and they just sit there and they don't do nothing. And some people do everything they can to get home. And you may not feel like you're going to get no benefit from it. And that was the cost for me getting out. Nobody slid a wallet under here.
Right.
Nobody paid nobody. This was based on the work that I did.
When do you know that it was accepted? Like from the time you put in, when do you know? Do you know immediately, or is there, because Trump did it in his last few days or even on his last day, kind of, one of the things before he bounced out the White House. Is it immediate that you know?
Well, Ivanka called my daughter and told them that I was coming home.
And how long after do you come home?
Like immediately.
Damn. Wow.
Like, you ain't really got time.
Did you believe it?
I mean, it was crazy, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
You left all that shit, huh?
Yeah. Take it for what?
Yeah. Yeah. He was like,
crazy, dude.
Hey, man.
We're done here.
So explain to me, Harry-O, like when what is that after 33 years, bro? And the only time you probably get, I don't know if you still hitting the court date, whatever, but I'm talking about on the street. What did that feel like when you walked out of that facility, when you walked out of prison?
I just visualized it just there. It was like, it's like the sun came out. When the sun come out,
yeah,
it was that kind of feeling.
What do you eat first?
You eat everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you eat everything that you haven't been able to eat. You know what I'm talking about? And it was just like I don't said this story before. Like it was weird for me because Lompoc, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's located.
Is that where you came out of, Lompoc?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful area. And coming down that 101.
Yeah, you drove. Y'all drove back.
We drove. Yeah. I had people came to pick me up and family, and I was like, told them, I says, about an hour in the car. Felt like I just went to the store. Don't feel like I was in prison for 33 years. Wow.
And when you on that drive home, bro, there's a difference between being connected to the streets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Businesses and phones or whatever and talking to people. But there's a difference between being connected to the streets and being on the streets. So when you know that you're on the streets and you say that hour felt like.
Well, then as I went down the coast, different people were pulling up that. So I saw them, It was crazy. Everybody was coming to welcome me home.
Yeah, man. And you say you ate everything. You have a pleasure of being home.
Yeah, I ate good food, and it was. And when I say it feel like I just went to the store, it doesn't mean that everything that happened in my journey in prison, I forgot about it. It's just that I'm the type of person who just lives in the present. Mm-hmm. So at that present moment, I was free, and I felt that. So just like that's one of the ways you survive too, because if you think about the past too much in the prison, you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
Or if you think about the future before it gets there, you're just drifting. But if you stay in the present, you're able to get things done. You're able to read, stay connected to information, to your sanity, to your God.
Yeah, man.
Just being one with God.
I remember I went to go see one of my partners, and he's home now, but he did 31 calendars, right?
Wow.
And I remember when I went to see him, the first time I went to see him, I was talking like, yeah, man, such and such, and, Tiffany, and saying these names and talking from the street. And I remember my man put his hand up, and he was like Kurt. And respectfully, he was like, I don't want to hear it.
Hit that part.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that really taught me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is real. And now that he's home, it takes some time to like detach yourself from the streets when you locked up, and it takes some time to reattach when you get home. Did you feel like you were how people say institutionalized program? Like one of my partners, he said when he came home, he sat up waiting for his door to get popped.
No, I know people that go through that.
Right.
Not me.
Yeah.
Like when I came home.
You got up and like, man, I'm opening up this door.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say I'm Superman or something. I'm just saying that it didn't affect me like that. I know people who won't even leave the house for months when they come home because it's a shock for them. But for me, like I said, I always stay in the present.
Right.
Then I had good people, family members, partners, and I went to go see Dog within 24 hours, and we kicked it and and connected.
Was there anything that surprised you? Like, because you already hip to, oh man, gas is crazy. It wasn't like you just came out, but was there anything that surprised you? Like even now, I go through old neighborhoods that I lived in. I'm like, damn, this look different.
That's the only thing that surprised me. Well, homelessness was that I didn't know it was that bad, right? Like I hear about it, but when I saw it, it just affected me to see the city like that.
Did you have any of those like, man, this used to be such and such,
yeah,
and this wasn't here?
When I went to my neighborhood, it's just totally different. Even when I went to my old house, I couldn't, even though I know where it's supposed to be in the block, I went there and it just was not, it didn't look nothing like it, It was like certain things like that, and certain buildings, like even our own restaurant was now apartment building, it's just things was different,
Man, so you say when you came home, you saw a Dog within 24 hours. Yeah. And then now when we fast forward, bro, Snoop Dogg, y'all, it's like death row is back in your hands.
Yes.
What did that feel like when you knew like, okay, man, we gonna get death row and we gonna make death row what it was, we gonna make it what it is and what it intended to be?
That was one of those full circle moments. Mm-hmm. Even for me and him, because we know, like we used to talk over the phone, but we had never seen each other in person.
Right.
A lot of people didn't know that, and so that day, that night, we sit there for like 5-6 hours, and we talked about what we were gonna do, and we did it.
Did when you think about death row and becoming an owner once again, did that sound like it could really happen at some point? You know what I'm saying? Because that's the biggest, one of the biggest companies and biggest names in the world, not just in music, in the world, just period. Did you feel like, man, I hope, or you always knew, man, I know we can get death row?
I knew we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had been fighting to get it too, and he really wanted to get it back, so it's something I've been fighting for years to get that row back,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. I mean, I've been in court, and I've been, bankruptcy. We've been fighting, been trying to, buy it out of bankruptcy. It was just, for years, it was just evading us.
Right.
And then for us to come back together and say, nah, we're going to put our heads together, we're going to make this happen. Now we got Death Row Pictures.
Yeah, man.
We've been doing.
What is the future of Death Row?
Well, I just think it's still in its growing stages, and it's a lot of things that are about to come out, so we can't speak about it.
Gotcha.
We want you to experience it while it's happening, but Death Row has no limitations, and I think that it's going to be on a different trajectory.
Hey man, Dog gave me a Death Row like chain.
Yeah.
Is that real?
I see you're not wearing
I'm not wearing it right now.
Yeah, did you go get it checked out?
No. I want yours. You said don't. He was like, not that one.
I'll make sure you get one. No, I don't think Dog would give you one that wasn't real.
Right, I don't know, man, because he gave one to Steph Curry that day, and he had he did like chaining day, like to a couple, and I was just happened to be there.
Yeah.
And then he was like, give me another, you know what I'm saying? Give me another necklace, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know how he is.
But I love what it look like, what it feel like.
Yeah.
I love the future of it. Yeah,
what it represents.
I'm just talking about Death Row, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, man, when I see Death Row films and when I see also the control that Death Row has once again and putting out projects, and then when you start to see, you see, man, like, Daz and Corrupt, come on home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you see those kind of things, bro,
right.
It's just such a beautiful moment too, man.
Right.
You
see
it's a different energy.
Because it's just like a lot of people didn't get their flowers.
Yeah.
And for various reasons. And then when you start seeing the family reconnect, it's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And not only, bro, do you feel like, okay, Death Row, other businesses, but now you always been community driven. You know, even when you're taken out of the community, you cared about the community. Even when you weren't in the community, you cared about mentorship and you cared about programs while being incarcerated. And now when you get home, as opposed to just saying, man, I'm here, I and me, you do us and we. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the old policy.
Oh,
and under the old policy, the access agenda, also the redemption agenda. So what is the old policy?
First of all, I created a company called Our Community First Action. Mm-hmm. And basically I created an organization to uplift our voices in the community. I just think that a lot of things we let happen to us. And then we sit around and talk about it.
Yeah, we complain.
Yeah. Instead of realizing our power and exercising it. So I just thought it was an opportunity to do so. So the old plan is about a policy, about bold policies that can help the community grow. Mm-hmm. Whether it be jobs, whether it be access to finance, whether it be better schools or better school choices. I just think that people that have a platform should use it to make sure that the people that we elect to represent us get away from all of the fanfare and get back to things that matter to real people, like how I'm going to pay my bills, how I'm going to take my kids to school in an environment that's productive. And how can I create a business? I have access to finance to build that business. Mm-hmm. So that's what O is about. The O plan is about instituting real policies that make a difference in our community. And then the redemption program is like we talked earlier about programs for inside incarcerated individuals, but also the whole criminal justice, the way that's being laid out. It needs to be fixed. It needs to, people getting time that doesn't fit the crime. Mm-hmm. We're just treating people like they're not human. And we need to get back to the human aspect of it. And when people come home, what do they come home to? So that's why it's called redemption. How do you come home? And first of all, do you have the skills to come home to something and be meaningful to your family? And are the businesses open to do business with you when you come home? So it's in the next couple of weeks, I'm about to do something, and I will call you first.
Right. Well, in the next couple of weeks, we about to do something. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm out there on the turf with you, man. And just with the redemption agenda as well, as we were speaking on, man, and part of the old plan. But I was just thinking about a lot of times, man, when you speak about financial literacy, sometimes we don't know. You know, sometimes we don't know, like, man, bank accounts, businesses, you know, our communities are getting taken away from us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't understand the power that we can have as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand sometimes I feel like, man, I have no fight in the game. It's bigger than me. And most times it's not. It's just easier for us not to get out and do the work. And also, man, we're not in some of the greatest positions
Right.
to do the work too. So when you see somebody that can come on board and do what you're doing, it's a difference, because sometimes we do wait on others, but you didn't wait on others.
And I think people worry too much about what people think about what you're doing. And so what I mean by that is people, instead of thinking about what to do, people like to judge other people for what they do. And so that's why a lot of people are afraid to get out there and get in, you know, in the Shark Tank.
Right.
That's what it is. Because, you know, people worried about their careers, or they worried about, you know, how people, you know, feel if I do this, I'll do that. But it's like, that's why we named it community first. Like, it's time for the community to be on the front line. Like, you can't use the community to become presidents and governors and mayors and then forget about it.
Right. And that's another thing that I wanted to speak with you about, is that you're like having a focus on some kind of politics. You know what I'm saying? And understanding that. And you were saying accountability too. Like, you know, you come into the neighborhoods, you want our votes. Now all of a sudden, you know, you're this person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're saying, like, hold on, man.
No, you got to be responsible. You got to be, you know, we got to hold them responsible. And people can't just come out. You know, even though I'm like, for instance, when we doing concerts, Community First are doing concerts in different.
And y'all just did one in Detroit, and
we did one in Detroit, and we did one in.
And Atlanta's coming up too.
Yeah, we did one in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
well.
man.
And we just putting good people together, man. You know, we actually brought Trick and Rick Ross on stage, and there had been some drama,
right?
You know, about no-fly zone or something like that. And come on, man, it's Community First. You know, let's get on the stage. That's
Trick. Woo.
Yeah, let's show people what time.
Yeah.
So,
and those are different levels, man. Like, maybe somebody don't see the end game, but they understand, oh man, they got on stage together, or this is a concert. And not only is it a concert, but while we're bobbing our heads, we're also getting an unforced message.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Unforced message that we have power. And so we have different cultural ways to communicate, and then we have to get serious about the business of what we're about.
So what does this election year look like? And when we say holding people accountable, it's like you'll see politicians, and not just presidents, but you'll see people run and all the propositions, and then once we sign on or once something is over, it's the same old.
Yeah, but somehow we have to stop that.
Right.
You can't keep rewarding people for doing nothing. And that's what we've been doing for decades. When you say what you just said, then it's over with, and we start the cycle all over again.
Yeah, man. And put hope into a lot.
Right. And we hoping a whole lot instead of saying, okay, just like everything else we do, let's make a deal. Okay, you want to get this car, this is what the deal is. You want to do this business, this is what the deal is. You want to run this, you want to run this community,
right.
You want to run this government, this is the deal. You got it, you understand
right.
what I'm trying
yeah,
to say?
hell yeah.
So we're going to figure it out in the next week or so.
What do you think about 2025?
I think it could be very, very, very big. It could be big for our community.
Yeah, man.
The right things happen, and the right people come together to make it happen. You know,
are you excited about what you see through your windshield? Because there's a lot in the rearview mirror. And a lot of that is tuition into the School of Experience.
Well, we talked about some things that seems difficult. Like you can talk about death row in hindsight. Like, okay, he created, he helped create something while he was in prison. It seemed unreasonable at the time that you could even do so, especially with all the roadblocks and obstacles. But it happened, and it became a multi-billion-dollar business. It created billions of dollars. Right? But that's just one business. But community first, I think, has no limitation. Even the name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to make Death Row cute, you know what I mean?
Right.
Death Row.
Man.
Like how do you make that?
Little white kids with Death Row shirts on.
How do you just says, this is a positivity connection here, but it's because of the people and what you do for the community and how you give back. So you're able to take that name and do something positive with it. But community first starts off telling you that you matter.
Yeah.
And that's what we own.
And when you hear somebody say community first, then I think you get it on the level. The first thing that come out of somebody's mouth, if they say community first, then you know, okay, well, we're dealing with someone that cares about this.
Right.
That cares about the community.
Exactly. And then it's gonna be actions, What actions does that person or that group take? And how do they stay on top of it? How they keep people's feet to the fire?
Hey man, when you saw Dogg at the Olympics, were you able to travel to the Olympics?
I was working.
Okay. When you see Dogg doing the Olympics, and of course you know that Dogg's going to do the Olympics before everybody else.
Of course.
I know Dogg's going to do the Olympics before a lot of people. When you seen that, and Dogg was still Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying? And he represented not just the country, everybody in the world wanted to see him. And he brought eyes to the Olympics. I was watching things at the Olympics that I never watched in my life.
But I wasn't surprised, man. It's just like you say, Dog. Me and you, we pull up, we on this radio right now, we talking on this show, but we done pulled up at different events and supported each other a multitude of times and always embraced. And at places that most people never, had an opportunity to go to. And so we done seen things that represent the greatness of these guys' talent. And for instance, the Super Bowl was one of those. You know what I'm saying? Getting, Dr. Gay getting a star, getting his star, and we was there. But seeing Snoop Dogg represent not just one race, but the country.
Yeah, man.
Was one of the most powerful moments. And so, me, I have that connection because we family through this thing that we created years ago, but he never seeks to amaze me.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the man's a workaholic. I don't even know how he do it.
I know, man.
I thought I was a workaholic.
Yeah.
But this man make me look like
I got to go see him today on the set of The Voice. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, The Voice. Now,
man.
So it just, when you see people like everybody thought Death Row was over with, but it's not just Death Row, it's the people that came out of it.
Right.
It's what they're doing in the community. It's what they're doing for entertainment. It's what they're letting people know that, if you stay focused, if you stay on top of it, because there was times where Snoop looked like he was out of the game years ago. And then he didn't give up. He stayed on it. And then he reinvented itself.
Man, I remember one time I was with Dogg. It was me, Dogg, and the Baker Boys. And this is years ago. And I remember Dogg asked us, he said, man, hey, did I fall off?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that's over 20-something years, probably 25, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for him to have that question back then and be hot as fish grease still to this day, man, and it's deposits on greatness, man. Yeah. We're making deposits,
We're making deposits, man. So it's just like, we want to continue to build, and like I say, it's still stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Movies, documentaries.
And I'm excited about Community First too, bro.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that we could believe in whatever you're putting into position. And especially if it's us first, bro. Like I said, the community's been getting away from us. We don't own it. Right. It's starting to look different. And some people love it, and then others, and I mean, damn, take Inglewood, Compton, South Central. You know, there's just certain areas, East Los. Yeah, there's just certain areas that's like, you know,
they got away from us.
Yeah, man.
And so, you know, like I've been blessed to be put in this situation, but I'm glad you said that because people need to know that if I'm involved, I'm gonna always keep community first.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to do things that people don't understand to get them to where they want to be. You understand? Because when you know how to get under the hood and make things happen,
right?
You know what it takes. And sometimes people are so used to dealing with things on a surface level, they don't understand how to get under the hood and make it happen.
Gotcha.
And that's what's got to happen.
And sometimes that's the work that people don't want to do. You got to get your hands dirty too. You know what I'm saying? When you get under the hood to make things work and fire the right way, you know.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, man.
Or you can stay on the sideline and just complain.
Yeah.
That's what you.
And everybody got a position.
Yeah,
you know, somebody got to complain too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
look good doing it.
Yeah, man, and they do it well.
Yeah, but get out of my way.
Yeah, man,
get
because
out of my way because we're not complaining. We're about results. We're about implementing real policies for change.
Man, well, it was a pleasure to have you in the neighborhood, bro.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember when they said you was touching turf once again, I was like, oh, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You always show me love, bro.
Man, and you the same with us too, bro. You know what I'm saying? You the same with us.
Your organization.
And thank you for coming into the neighborhood, bro. And keep me involved.
And before you cut it off, you got to know too, man. Inside them walls, brothers and sisters watch you guys, and you keep them connected.
Thank you, bro.
You got to know that, man, that they really watch you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've had many people throughout my career that was like, man, you know, we watch. And even more so now that, you know, you got your situations where everything is recorded, because I had a lot of people that be, man, I listen to you.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
We should listen to you first.
Yeah.
Because you know, we can be in different cities and different places in different countries around the country, but you would bring us back home.
Yeah, man.
And so you need to know that, brother. You know, you talk about how I felt when I met Dogg, when I seen Dogg, but even coming around you, knowing that you was a breath of fresh air for guys who are in those confined situations. You need to know that, brother.
Man, I appreciate that, brother. And I'm telling you, man, I love to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Michael Harris, Harry-O in the neighborhood. Thank you, my brother. Yes, sir.
CommunityFirstAction.org.
At Community First Action.
Yeah, you can do at CommunityFirstAction.org. Or you can do Community First, our Community First Action.org.
And we're included in Chiron as well, bro.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother Harry-O. Michael Harris in the neighborhood, Big Boy's neighborhood.